To all the geeks and nerds out there, welcome back to another episode of Logic Forever, and we are going to build a super cool farm today. I'm sure I've mentioned it in the title and thumbnail, but yeah, we're going to be farming some slimes and doing it in a way that I've never seen done before. Maybe you have, but like I said before in another episode, I'm aiming to do things that I've not seen before, and yeah, this is going to be super cool. And efficiency is not something we're striving for particularly, but this farm is going to crank out over 51,000 slime balls per hour. All right, time to get some resources. And we go from one yellow block to another. We're going to need a lot of sand because we need a ton of glass. About a shulker and a half of glass is what we need. Now, normally I've been getting my glass from the villagers when I trade with them. But yeah, I've basically run out of all of that. And I think this is probably going to be quicker. We've got some furnaces back at base, so that should make short work of all of this. And then we actually need to build another farm as well. We've got to have a lot of potions brewing, so we're going to have a netherwart farm. I'm going to build one of those as well. But I think what I want to do is get all the resources for the big farm first of all, and then we can build some of that up, and then we'll take a break from that, go and do the netherwart farm a bit later on, and hopefully we'll have enough to get that farm cranking. And I've got to tell you, I've done a lot of planning, a lot of designing in creative, and this thing is a joy to watch, so stick around. All of the resources have been gathered, and now it's time to pillar out into the void. We've got to go a long way away from the end island, and yeah, this build is actually pretty big. And I've got all the resources. They're actually in a couple of double chests. You can't see them; they're out of render distance, but I've got 3 double chests just up there with all the resources. And now I'm wondering if I'm even going to be able to finish this whole thing in one episode. We'll see. Hopefully I can, because it's really cool. But if not, well, we can continue next time. But yeah, all right, we need to pillar out and then get a platform going. I'll probably move the items over, and then we can build this thing up, and I can show you how it works piece by piece. We've reached our destination, and the end island is a long way away. We are over here, and we're going to be building as low down as possible. So I've already put down some lava, and I'm going to put some water right here, and that should give us a nice column of cobblestone. And then we can build off of this. We'll have a platform at the bottom, and then we'll probably branch off from this a little way along. Obviously, if I had a happy ghast and whatnot, that might make this a bit easier. But yeah, we're going to keep it old school for now. And I've made some progress. I mined down through the cobblestone column and added that platform at the bottom, and then added all of our scaffolding all the way back up to our platform, so we can go up and down and obviously branch off of this for various things. Now over here, I've created the spawning platform. All of our endermen are going to spawn up here. Now it's all lit up for the moment, so this is totally safe, and I've added these walls around the outside. They're not all totally necessary, but I think it looks better as well, and just make sure that we don't get any endermen falling off, and also protects us while we're standing up here. This can be our safe area, and I've moved over all the items we need. Now let's talk about this spawning platform, and if you haven't realized it by now, I'm sure you have, we're going to be using the new oozing potion. We're going to be killing endermen that will then generate us some slime. Now this spawning platform is pretty big, and so we can get lots of endermen spawning up here, but as you'll notice, I've got a few of these openings here. In fact, we've got 6 of them, 3 on each side. Now, the reason for that is that if you don't know, the way that oozing works is you can splash a whole bunch of mobs, and then when they die, each one will then generate 2 medium slimes, but only up to a maximum of the entity cramming, which is 24 blocks, 24 entities, should I say, on Java Edition. So if you have any more than 12 endermen, you're going to be just wasting potion, because 12 times 2 is 24. Anything more than that, you're going to be wasting stuff. So what I've got here is 6 of these lanes, because if you divide 70, which is the mob cap, by 6, it's roughly 12. It's not quite, just under. So over time, this will hopefully give us some reasonable level of distribution and get us into packs of around 10 to 12-ish per per module, we'll say. So we're going to have basically six modules producing slime. So this is the first stage, and this is the reason why we're going to have these six entryways. So I think what I'll probably do is just work on one and kind of talk you through how it works, and then we can build the others up. And then we need to go over and build our netherwart farm as well. So, and actually, I'm going to need a lot of carpets. I didn't realize how many I needed, and we don't have wool farm, so I need to probably just do a quick and dirty wool farm as well. Oh man, this is going to be a massive episode. Here I am at the bottom of the world, and we're in free cam because I want to show you how the first of our modules are constructed, and obviously we're going to build 5 more of these on top. And I've left a bit of this open. This is not complete, just so it's easier to see. But essentially up here we've got a spawning platform, as I said before, and we're going to have an endermite up here in a minecart. So the endermen are going to try and attack it. I think they can get to it, but they can't because they're going to go over these trapdoors and fall down. We've got this chute which has got 2 walls over each side, and we've got some black glass over here to keep them all encased in this sort of 2 wide drop. They'll fall all the way down here. There's some tripwire hooks here and some string. We'll talk about that a bit later on. But essentially all the endermen are going to fall down here and land on these 2 dispensers. Both of these have got a water bucket in them. And yeah, so then we've got some redstone to deal with. So over here, we're going to have a signal that comes in. We'll talk about where that comes from a bit later on. But essentially, it's going to be a quick signal out of an observer, and I'll show you that in a second. And then we've got this shenanigans here, because basically what we want to do is we want to kill the enderman. Because they've fallen all this distance, they're going to be a 1-hit kill. They're going to be on half a heart. So we just need to give them a quick splash of water, and then they're all going to die instantly. So this is what this does. So essentially, we get this signal that comes across here, and it will power this dispenser first. That's going to have our oozing potions in it. So all the endermen get splashed. That's the first thing that happens. We then have this observer here that notices the change in the redstone signal, propagates it down to here. This observer sees it and then strongly powers this dispenser, which also powers this one. So that ejects the water. So the water will then be here, killing the enderman. And then soon after that, this observer sees the same signal, and there's another observer down here looking at that, and one above it. And then that will give this a second pulse, which will then retract the water super quick. So let's see that in action. So if I come out of free cam, and what I can do here is this is just temporary here. So if I change the state of this redstone, we should see the water. Just do that. So that's what we're looking for. Now we don't want the water to flow everywhere, so it's just a quick on and off just to get the water. But then we've got these hoppers under here. Obviously, all the drops we get from our slimes are going to feed into a dropper over there, which is constantly being powered, and then all of the items are going to flow up this glass column and then into the collection system, which again we'll deal with later. So on top of the hoppers, we're going to have mud, and on top of that, we can have wither roses. Yeah, I've got to go and fight a wither as well in this episode, as if there wasn't enough in this episode already. So that's how we're going to kill them. And obviously that's why we don't want the water flowing everywhere, destroying all the wither roses. So that is the basic plan for killing the enderman and collecting the drops and whatnot. So we've got to build this 5 more times, and then we've got to deal with where the signal comes from, item collection, how the potions get refilled. So there's still loads and loads and loads to do. All right, let's get building. And building in the void is always a bit tricky. This brings back memories of when I built the Death Star and all the other ships in the first season of Beyond Logic. And then little things like this, building at Y0, you have to fly underneath to place the blocks properly, especially those observers pointing the right way. Anyway, we're having a lot of fun building this up, and yeah, we've got these 5 other modules to build as we'll go through that. Now, there's one thing I want to ask about, and that is that yeah, in my stats for the channel, I've noticed that recently I seem to be losing subscribers, and I don't know why. So one hunch I think is that probably a lot of people have previously subscribed because of the tutorials that I've done in the past, and I think these new obviously the videos I'm doing now are all let's play, and that's not tutorial based, so maybe people are unsubscribing because of that reason. So first of all, a question: if you're here watching this but you're thinking of unsubscribing, let me know why, just so I can improve and try and give the people what they want. That will really help me out. But if you are enjoying this, then hit that subscribe. Makes me feel a bit better that if I can get my subscriber numbers going up rather than down, that would be awesome. And there we go, we have built up all 6 modules. They're all exactly the same, what I've already shown you, with the killing area at the bottom and the drop chute and item collection that goes all the way up. Now that's not finished yet, So we've got all of those things over there. The green glass, that's going to be item collection, and they're going to go into auto crafters and whatnot to create our slime blocks. But what I do want to show you is how we trigger the mechanism for each of the modules. So we've got, as I said before, we've got the 2 dispensers that are going to dispense water, and also we've got a dispenser above that's going to dispense the potion. So all of that redstone all wires up essentially to here, this block right here, and above it we've got this observer. So what we need to do is to trigger this. If I've got this, this is going to be the on-off switch, and so when I flip this, the piston's going to come down. We're going to get a signal from the observer that's going to quickly pulse all of this redstone, which goes to all 6 modules, so they will all fire their water and whatnot at the same time. So let's do this. There we go, and do it again. There we go. We can see that for each time, all of the modules are perfectly in sync to the tick, and the water just comes out for a brief moment, not long enough for it to flow anywhere, but then that should kill all of the endermen. But then the next question is, what's going to trigger this? How are we going to do this? Now, I said before, we've got these tripwires on each of the modules. So what I'm going to do next is wire up a bit of redstone for each one, and that's basically going to have a delay circuit behind it, and then into an AND gate. So basically, once mobs have stopped falling for a period of time, then it will trigger. So we could do this on a clock, for example, but I think I want to do it based on mob spawning, and once the spawning is finished and mobs have stopped dropping, then we're going to fire the mechanism. And I've now added that redstone to all of the tripwire hooks. So let me show you one at a time. Now the redstone in this build does get a bit hairy, but hopefully showing you a little bit as we go makes sense. And all of this is just repeated. So what I'm showing you here is just the same thing all over again. So we've got the tripwire hooks, as we said before. So when the endermen fall through here, we'll end up getting a signal in this block. This block will get powered. We'll then go into this delay circuit. So that will just stay active for a period of time, and every time a mob falls through, then this just keeps active, and then this goes into a repeater, into a block. There's a redstone torch under there. So basically we have this redstone line, and this is the same for all of the things, as we said, all the modules, that ends up basically here in this big AND gate across all 6 modules. So it's a 6-way AND gate effectively, and this is above our piston, which is just down there, and that's how it works. So yeah. If I was to get rid of the torches up there, we'd see the endermen start falling down, and of course they get distributed across all 6 modules, not evenly. You know, we can't control that, but hopefully over time it will roughly be equally, and then we'll get pretty good rates in terms of the slimes. All right, so I think I want to stop this build now. I want to just pause it for a second and go back to base, because what we need is carpets, and a lot of them. So I think I'm going to go back to base, build up a quick few wall farms just for the colors that we need, and then while that's working, we need to AFK that, but I might make a start on the netherwart farm we need as well, because this farm needs a lot of potions. And now we're just going to get the last sheep in. This is the green one. We've got a few different colors to color code some of the build over in the end. There he is, very easy. All in there, just uses those blocks to guide the sheep in. And this is a bog standard kind of sheep farm. I'm sure you've seen this before. There's an observer just over there looking at that grass. Whenever it gets eaten by the sheep, we get a signal back around here, and there's some shears in the dispenser to shear him up. And then underneath, got a hopper minecart just in there, into a hopper, into a chest right here. So I'm going to do some AFKing and gather the wall up that we need, and then we can go back to the end and work on the slime farm. And then over here, we've got a space ready over there somewhere. I've got a space where I'm going to build the netherwart farm. So that's going to be semi-automatic. I'm going to be using, I've got a little setup, which means we can use a fortune tool to get extra drops. So that is going to be super cool, and we're going to do that next. And this farm means we have to place a lot of soul sand. I'm trying to do this as efficiently as I can. I've got some granite over here I'm standing on, so walking around is not too bad, and it's going to stretch all the way over there. So quite quite long. Whoops, I fell down. But also it's going to be 2 layers. So it's, this is only half of it. So I'm going to need quite a lot of nether wart to get this planted in the first place. So the first few cycles of this will be just to plant the whole thing and make sure we've got enough to harvest. But yeah, this is going to be pretty cool. So obviously we've got the soul sand here. This is going to be for our nether wart. And then over here you'll see, oh, I've got to walk super slow. So you've got this little divot here, if you like. Now this is where we're going to be walking, and we're going to be walking this way with our tool, and we're going to go along like this. Now this is too quick. We're going to move in too fast. If we move this way with our tool, we're going to be we won't hit all the crops. But I'll show you a little trick in a minute that will mean we'll go the perfect speed, and we can just go along here and get every single block along the way, and then once we get to the end and then go up to the next layer, then this layer will be harvested automatically as we go past. So I guess I just need to just place these blocks, get this thing built up, and then we can give it a test. And here's the first layer all done. Let me just talk you through this one quickly, and then I can build the second layer on top. So what we're going to do here is we're going to sneak in here. This is the little walkway I talked about earlier. And to make it so we go the perfect speed, we're on soul sand, and above here we have a slab. So that means we're forced into crouch mode. So now what we can do is we can hold the nether wart in our hand, and all we've got to do is hold down right click, and that means we can plant a whole row. And now if you just hold down left, we're just going to plant all the crops, and we just do this, and it's a pretty good speed. So we're not going to miss anything. We just keep going all the way down until we've used up all our crops all the way to the end. So of course this can't be fully automatic because we need to plant the nether wart. But if I just come out of here, I'll show you what happens next. So imagine we've made our way all the way to the very end and we've planted all of the crops. Then there's a little bubble column that takes us all the way up here to the second level. Then we go across and do the same, planting all the way across. And then what we need to do is obviously wait for it all to grow, and then we can do the same thing, but we're going to have our fortune hoe that we've got over there. Doesn't matter what tool, just has to be fortune. We're going to fortune 3 on it, and then we go across again, doing the same thing, but harvesting the crops. So we get the bonus drops from using fortune, come all the way to the end. And once we get to here, we go up the bubble column again, so all this layer will be totally harvested and all of the crops will be on the soul sand just lying there. And then we hit this block up here, this note block, that releases the water for just enough time for all of the crops to get pushed along, and then all the crops end up in this walkway where we're going to walk. Then of course we do the same thing for the next level, go all the way to the end, and then we're going to end up falling down and we'll end up back in our start position. Then we can hit this note block, that's going to go into some redstone and do the same thing, harvesting the row above. And now here we have all our crops. Now we can go across again, picking up crops as we go and planting them ready for the next round. So I don't have enough crops to do a full harvest just yet, or a full planting should I say. But yeah, I'm going to build up the second layer, and then what I'll probably do is just do a bit of planting and harvesting until we get enough to do a full whack of both levels, and then we can see that in action, see it in all its glory. After a bit of AFK time, let's check on the wool farm, see how we're doing. We need about 7 stacks of this. Yeah, we're almost there. Just need another stack and a half roughly. So yeah, these are not super fast. Only 1 sheep per colour, but that's all right. That's good enough to get us going. And this is only temporary. I've actually got designed for a much bigger, much more impressive wool farm. I've actually had in a can for probably like 2 years. So I'm going to dust that out at some point in the series, and we can build that as well. And the good news is over here, the nether wart is all now fully grown, and we've got our 2 layers ready to harvest. So let's give it a test and see how much we get out of this thing. All right, let's grab our hoe, and this has just got fortune 3 on it, and I've emptied my inventory. So let's see how much we get. Now to fill this farm up, you need 6 stacks of nether wart. So we're going to harvest all of this just by left clicking, and then we're going to go forward and to the left, and just go along like this. Obviously this is slow going, so this is going to break all of the nether wart with a fortune bonus. So let's see how much we get, and when we get to the end we can go up and halve and get all this nether wart washed over to us. Okay, we've reached the end. We go up the bubble column and we now go across. So now once I'm over here, I can now hit this note block, and that should wash all of the water on the lower level. I can't see it from here where I am, but now we're going to just go to the next layer and basically do the same thing. So we're going to move all the way across until we've harvested this layer as well. And here we are at the end of the second layer. We can now drop down, land in this little bit of water so we don't take any damage at all, and we can right click this note block. That will then wash all of the nether wart above. Now we can go in here underneath, and now we can just start planting. We've got plenty of nether wart in our inventory, so this is just a case of what we did before. So we just plant all of these, and we go to the left and keep planting. And as we go across, we'll pick up all of the nether wart that was washed into the channel, and we go up and do this for the second layer, and then we can count how many drops we actually got. And now we're done, we can put our hoe back. But before I do that, just want to point out that it's not taken any durability damage. So we don't need to put anything like unbreaking, anything like that. That will just last forever. So that's there for next time. Let's see how much we got. So we planted 6 stacks and then obviously replanted that. So what we've got in the inventory is the profit. Look at this. Just almost 21 stacks of profit for each harvest. So that's pretty good going. So yeah, I need to do probably a couple of these to get enough nether wart to power the farm in the end, because that thing's going to chew through quite a few potions, but that's all right. That's the whole point of this kind of thing. So right, I'm going to take all of that back to the end, and we're ready to continue. I am indeed back in the end, and I've taken all of the nether wart and wool that we've got over to the build site. So we're ready to continue with the build in a second. But first, we need to think about the wither roses that we need. I'm not going to do it just yet. I don't have the skulls, but here's where we're going to spawn the wither underneath the end portal in the end. And we need a whole bunch of mobs. We need at least 130, because that's how many wither roses we need. So what I'm going to do is, I don't have a great way to do this for right now, but I'm going to start spawning some chickens, and they are going to start walking around here. In fact, we can do it right now. Hopefully we'll get a few. Just need a couple of chickens. That's fine. Yeah, at least one. Even one is good enough for now. And I think I've got one more egg somewhere. There we go. Let's get this in. There we go. Right, so I've got 3 chickens. They're going to walk around. Once they've grown up, they're going to start laying some eggs, and those eggs are going to go into the hoppers that are underneath all these carpets. And then all of those hoppers point into this dispenser. So the eggs end up in here, they get fired up, they will hit the ceiling and spawn more chickens. And then the more chickens we have, the more eggs we're going to get, and hopefully get an exponential growth of chickens. So I do need to watch it. I can't just leave it AFK. I need to check on it now and again. And there's hoppers underneath the soul sand. Eggs laid on there will go through. So then I'm going to actually come out of here in a minute. And over here, we've got a dispenser with poison potions. So when we come to spawn the wither and we've got enough chickens, we'll splash them all with poison potion to get them down to low health. Spawn the wither will explode, kill all of the chickens, we'll get wither roses, and that's the plan. Sounds easy in theory. Let's see if it is in practice. And I've actually just realised if these carpets are here, I don't think the wither's going to spawn, because it needs to have air blocks on that side. So I'm just going to fix that really quickly. So now we should actually be good. All right, excellent stuff. No, chicken, get out of here. Get back. And just for completeness, this is the other side of the soul sand, and here's the dispenser. So we've got access here. We can put all the skulls in, and I can close this so the chickens can't come out. And I've got this button here that will activate the dispenser and splash the chickens with the potions. So yeah, I'm gonna hang around here in AFK, get some chickens in place, and then we can get those wither roses when we're ready. But for now, I think we're going to continue with the build. We've got a lot to do. And I've been busy. I've placed down carpets over all the stuff I've already shown you. So yeah, it's good actually, because it's good to show that stuff beforehand. Obviously adding all the carpets just make it much more complicated to understand what's going on. But yeah, that's all of that stuff done now. We've got some color coding. So we've got the purple that's responsible for the firing of the potions and the water. And we've got this magenta line that does the detecting of the mobs and comes up here. Now, in terms of color coding, up here we've got some green. This is all of the item collection as I spoke about before. So I can just show you bits and pieces here. So first of all, we've got all of these water streams that come from all the different modules. They all come across and then end up over there. But a couple of little tricks I just want to show you. So first of all, we've got these stone cutters here. The reason for that is that items will come up here. I'm going to put a roof on this as well, but items are going to come up here and then get pushed along. Now what happens is they'll get stuck here just for a little bit, which means the items can group together. So we end up with stacks of items going around rather than one item at a time, and then they flow up and go over this over the stone cutter. There's ice underneath as well, which will affect the speed of the items. That's just to group them up, just to save a little bit of lag instead of having individual entities. So we've got that on all of the modules, and like I said, they all flow this way. And so we've got this one over here. So those items will come across there, flow that way, and get pushed up against this honey block that go across here. The ones that come from this direction are going to come down here. They're going to hit this double C pickle right here, and because of the hitbox, they'll be aligned and go across here inside this honey block, just the same as these, and the same on the other side as well. They're going to go across here. Now at the moment there's nothing underneath, but we're going to add some filters here that are going to filter out all of the slime balls, because we're also going to get ender pearls. So the slime balls are going to go down there into our crafting system, and then we're going to have another water stream underneath that takes all the slime blocks away. So once we get to here, the only thing we should have is the ender pearls. They'll come along here, hit this bar right here, and because they're inside the honey block, they're going to be partially inside this water stream and then go that way. So we can store probably a limited amount of ender pearls there. That would always be useful. And of course over here exactly the same. So that's how the item collection is going to work, but we do need to add our crafters underneath, and we're going to use the same double speed crafters that we had for the witch farm. So I'm going to put them in next, and then we can get this stuff into chests. I've added the auto crafters, and I think I'll use free cam to show you, just to make things a bit easier. So I've added double carpets around everything else so far, all of the waterways that I've already shown you, and we've got the addition over here now of 8 double speed auto crafters, 4 on each side. They're constantly getting pulsed because we're only going to get slime balls through here, so there's no need to add any kind of extra stuff on there. And around the back here we just got our normal filter in, all good. We've seen this all before. So our slime blocks are going to come out of these crafters into this water stream right here, come along here, same on the other side, hit this bar, and then go this way. And then we're just going to store them in something pretty unimpressive, just a wall of chests. This is where all our slime blocks are going to go. And up here, this is from the other waterway from before. And this will store all of our ender pearls. I think 3 double chests for now is good enough, and anything extra will get destroyed by the cactus. And once we've got access to proper shulker boxes with a farm, then we can change this into a shulker loader, that kind of thing. But that's all to come. But before we can continue, the next thing we need to build over in this space right here is a pretty big auto brewer, because this thing is going to chew through potions. And obviously we've got our chickens over at the end. I've been doing some AFK and the chickens are almost there. We're doing pretty well there. But the other thing we're going to need to power this thing is a load of blaze powder, and we don't have a good farm for that either. So I think I'm going to head over to the Nether, try and get our wither skulls, and also just kill a bunch of blazes, get some blaze powder so we can get this thing started. And this was pretty straightforward. Just boxed in one of the spawners that we've used previously, chugged some fire resistance potions, and with my looting sword just go in and yeah, just kill these blazes, and got quite a few blaze rods. I actually did pretty well, and it's pretty straightforward. It didn't take that long, so yeah, we're all good. Then I went over to the nearest fortress, and then it's a case of, you know what, just killing a bunch of wither skeletons with our safety bars above, and it didn't actually take that long. I was in there ready for the long haul. I actually managed to get our 3 skulls without too much bother, and I didn't die, which was always a bonus. And now it's time to put those wither skeleton skulls to good use. So if we have a look over here, we've got quite a lot of chickens. So if I put on the mini HUD, you can see that over there on the left hand side, E, the first number, 166. So there's actually about 150 odd chickens, because I think there might be some eggs just on the top. I've tried to collect a bunch out of the hoppers and droppers and whatnot. So we've got quite a lot of eggs in storage. I think there's still some in there. But also I've dug out some of these corners as well, because I'm a bit worried whether the potions are going to reach all the way or not. So let's get our skulls and let's just see what happens. So I've got a couple of potions on me as well. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to put down 2 skulls, one over there, one over there. And obviously the last one's going to go there last of all. But before we do that, let's splash some potions. So in here we've got some potions, so we're going to splash these. Oh, they're going crazy. All right, so let's do that again. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to put some potions in these corners as well, just to make sure we get all the chickens. Okay, good. I think they've probably all been got anyway, but let's just in case. Okay, all good stuff. Right, so we're going to just place this, close this, and then get out of here. Okay, the wither is about to spawn, and hopefully that killed all the chickens. I hope we've got everything we need now. All right, let's go down there and get rid of this guy, I guess. Oh, I can see some. Oh, I can see some stuff on the floor. Let's go in here, and we should now just be able to take care of this guy without too many problems. I've searched all the hoppers and got all the items out, and there's even more spare eggs that we don't need, so I've chucked them away. But let's have a look what we actually got Yes, we've got everything we needed. So we needed around 130 wither roses. We've got plenty more than that. So we've got everything we need there, which is great. We've got another nether star for a beacon. That's awesome. And some food. So that's awesome. All right. So we need to go over to the main build site, and now we can continue and build our brewer up. And this is the start of our auto brewer for the farm. And this is like the main concept. So I'm going to show you and explain this main concept. I'm actually going to duplicate this part another 3 times. So we've got 4 of these in total, and there's going to be a lot of extra redstone. There's going to be a couple of clocks. There's going to be auto filling of water bottles. There's going to be lines of hoppers distributing items around, and then at the bottom there's going to be water streams that distribute the finished potions to all of the modules. So it's going to be quite hard to see what's going on, but the main concept for this brewer is what we've got here. So basically, I was looking for a way to brew potions fast enough, because this, as I said, this thing chews through potions, and also I wanted it to be relatively compact as well, so we can fit it in this space. And actually, I found this one, which is actually pretty cool. Now, the video this is from, it's from a channel called Koi Kiwi, and it's a very simple design. It's basically this, and then you have a button down here. You press the button, and that will do one cycle of this, and then you press the button next and it does another cycle. I'll explain what that means in a minute, but it's all very manual. And so what I'm going to do is take that basic concept, which is really good, and add a load of redstone to automate it all, so we don't need to press buttons. It just does it itself. So the basic idea here is that at the very start up here, we're going to have this hopper, and this hopper is going to have water bottles in it. So it's going to fill the first brewing stand with these water bottles, and on top we've got this hopper that's going to have a nether wart. So we're going to get this. Obviously, once I've added the blaze powder, this will start brewing up. And then underneath it, we've got this hopper, which is locked by this torch. So this can brew away, do its thing. And that takes 20 seconds to brew. And we're going to have a clock here that times this to perfection. And once that finishes brewing, this line is then going to be powered, which means this will depower this torch, which means the hopper can suck out these bottles and take it further to the next stage, into the next brewer. Meanwhile, this is going to be powered then, which means we lock this, so no new bottle can come out. And basically then this will then depower this line and then puts it back to this state, which means this will lock this hopper, stopping anything being sucked out of here, and then new bottles can come in. So basically we're going to do this as a step-by-step process. So the bottles will start at the top here just as water bottles. They're going to here, get brewed up into an awkward potion, go down to this one, and then awkward potion comes in. We add the slime block to it. That turns it into the oozing potion. Then it comes into this one. The gunpowder gets added, turns it into a splash potion, into this dropper, and that will send it into water streams and whatnot to be distributed around the farm. And that's basically it. So this is the basic concept. It's really simple, but once I've added all the other gubbins that's required, it's going to get quite hard to see and it's going to be quite complicated. And when you look at it, it's just a ball of redstone. So it's kind of hard to understand, but I thought it's worth showing you this. This is a basic concept, and it's actually pretty good, pretty simple. So yeah, I think it's going to do what we need. So I'm going to get building, and then we're almost done. There's so many jobs to this farm. It's a pretty crazy episode, but the last thing to do is go to the top and get our endermites in, and then we're ready to turn this thing on. All right, the brewer is done, and now I need to show you it and try and do it concisely and not yap for way too long, because I've done a lot of that in this episode. I hope that's okay. But essentially, yeah, this is it. So the light blue carpet, this is all about the potions in terms of brewing and also distribution. So you see it down there. So essentially we've got what I showed you before. So that's the one slice just here. So we've got 3 more slices, another 1, 2, and 3, and that's what all of this lower area is. Basically that same thing just repeated. And then above we've got a lot of hopper lines delivering all of the ingredients, and up here we've got a little system for filling up bottles automatically with water if we run out. So that's just a thing that just cycles, does that all by itself. Up here we've got the hopper clock, and that hopper clock has got 55 items in it. This is something we can turn on and off, and this is what cycles through the various states to get our potions brewing. And then down here, let's have a look. So down here, once all the potions come out of the droppers, they fall into this water stream, come down here, and then get put into this boat with chest. And that boat with chest is on top of 6 hoppers. Now those hoppers are all locked at the moment from this redstone, so they'll just stay here. But then when we brew a new set of potions, this gets unlocked. Those 12 potions we get in there actually get distributed across those hoppers. So it's 2 per hopper. They go into droppers, and each dropper has its own water stream that goes to one particular module. So for example, this one comes along here into some powdered snow, into this hopper and into this chest, ready for splashing onto the Enderman. So that controls all of that. That's the same for all 6 modules. And we've got one more circuit over here. So this controls whether we turn the brewer on or off. So we just check in this chest, and if this chest fills up, then we have a redstone signal. We use this scaffolding to send the signal up, and then here we've got this copper bulb that acts as a T flip-flop to turn the brewer on or off if we need it. So if we get full up with potions, we don't end up just keep constantly brewing potions and then landing and sort of settling on top of this hopper. So we should only brew what we need. I'm a bit low on some resources. Obviously we've got farms for everything else, but the slime blocks, we're going to get slime blocks from here to put it to here, but I've only got a few in there, so hopefully we've got enough to keep this running for a little bit. But I'll be standing here pulling out blocks and put them into the brewer first of all to make sure we can keep this thing running. All right, that is the whistle stop tour, and I think it's time to get going. I think that all we've got to do now is get endermites in, and then we're ready to turn this thing on. And this is the process for getting the endermites. Just stand still and spam those ender pearls. Eventually one will spawn, and then just have to name tag it so it doesn't despawn, even though it's going to go into a minecart, and then just hop around endlessly, it seemed in some cases. But yeah, just get it into the minecart, pop down the rail, then it just goes into place without too much bother. And we did this for all 6. And now it's time to get this thing running. So first of all, we have to get rid of the torches to allow the endermen to spawn up the top. And even before I finish, they start. So I need to get out of there pretty quickly. And now it's time to see these items come through. And here's the first batch of endermen falling down the tunnel and landing onto the dispensers, ready to be killed. Now we don't have potions at this stage, so these first batch won't get any slimes, but here are the potions. They have now caught up and are now brewing and coming out of the system, looking great. Look at this, just come out into their own individual waterways all the way through to each module. And here we see them just coming along and then falling through the powdered snow and into the hopper, ready to be splashed onto these endermen. And there we go, look at this, oh look at that. Like, oh, this is such a great sight. I love it. So many slime balls. They just explode. And I love the timing when all of them die all at the same time in each module. Look at this. Look at that. Instant. And all at the same time. And then obviously the wither roses make short work of those slimes. And look at this guy. He's not very I can't even speak. He's not very happy. But there we go. We put him out of his misery and get some slimes in return. And now the farm is in full swing. We've got plenty of potions, and of course, look, all these endermen all just instantly run down each of their respective modules. And then we've got the items coming up here. This is a mixture of both the slime balls and the ender pearls coming through the waterway, gathering up over the stone cutter, as I said before, and then of course aligned against the honey, and then using the sea pickle trick as well to get the other items lined up. Then they can go into the auto crafters to give us all of our slime blocks, which is really cool. And then they hit this iron bar to make their way into storage. This is glorious. What an awesome farm this has been. Oh, I've really enjoyed building this, and also the design process and whatnot. This has worked out so well. So I've obviously been standing here for a little while, done a bit of AFKing, and what I've done is here's the output, and here's what we've got so far. Now this is not all of it. I've taken quite a bit of this actually and put it up into the brewers, so this thing can just run and run for a long time. Obviously we're going to need to refill the other ingredients, but yeah, we're going to need some blaze rods. So I'm thinking maybe a blaze farm is going in order pretty soon, but this is pretty good going. And obviously up there as well we've got some ender pearls as well. So this has been a glorious farm, a glorious episode. And this episode has been huge. We've done a wool farm, we've done a netherwart farm, we've done obviously this huge farm, plus we've been to the nether, we've killed a wither, all sorts of bits and pieces in this episode. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then leave a like, and if you're new, then feel free to subscribe, and if you like this kind of stuff, then there's more coming very soon. Anyway, thanks for joining me, my geeks, and I'll see you later.